Welcome to Beyond Awareness, everyone. Today we have Tracy Hoth with us. Welcome, Tracy.
Thanks, Samantha. I'm so glad to be here.
I am so excited. I've been excited since we first connected because Tracy, for those of you that don't know, is a professional organizer for 17 years. And she's also a life coach. And I feel like those two things combined are magical and so needed. And you help business owners bring calm and clarity to back-end operations, but also their daily lives. And something that I so often experience myself and hear from my clients is that they feel like they are so messy and they feel like they want a clean space, but they're just not doing it. And just the whole organizing, it's a struggle for us. So I'm excited to dive in. And I'm curious, have you always been organized and clutter free, or was there like a moment for you where you're like, I can't keep living like this?
I love this question. So I feel like I've always been what I would call practically or down to earth kind of organized. I'm not one that's really anal, and I don't have color coded things, and I don't like to decanter, but I do have less stuff. What I found when I go into people's homes, I don't go into homes anymore, but what I had found was if I had as much stuff as they do, I would be overwhelmed, completely unable to keep up with it. So I think I just have less stuff, but I do have to say that I have a space where we throw clutter as well. It's called my secret room. It's an attic space. And we only call that because our boys played in there. It was off their bedroom, not because I'm hiding it from anybody. But I put things in there, and our whole family does, that we don't want to make a decision on. And clutter is just delayed decisions. So that's kind of a storage room, or if we don't want to make a decision, we'll stick something in there. But the difference is I know I can clean it up or declutter it anytime I want because I know the steps to get organized, and it's no big deal.
So I love that first and foremost, because I've talked to people before who are organizers, I guess, or organized coaches, things like that. But so many of them say that they've always been this way. And I'm like, then you don't get it. You don't understand like the mental toll that it takes. But you said something, you said clutter is just a delayed decision. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, so we just delay making a decision on either where it's going to live in our house, or if we want to keep it, or if we want to let it go, or where it should go. So all of those decisions, if we don't make them, create some stuff, and we can label it clutter if we want to. Because being organized just means that you know what you have and you can find it when you need it. And so clutter is just not having made the decisions on the stuff.
That's really powerful. You just did a whole episode at the time of this recording on decision making that I listened to, and you have a framework for that, which this episode is not about. But I'll tag that episode in the show notes. But that I feel like that's really powerful to frame it as clutter is just a decision, because that almost makes it like something tangible and doable that you can take an action on, not just the state of your house or the state of your desk. That it's just clutter. I'm a cluttered person. I'm messy, things like that.
Yeah. And I think having that definition, what do you call it? Like neutralizes the circumstance. Like I just have, one of my clients was like, I have all this stuff. I mean, we all think that I have so much. I have all these things, these piles, these boxes. And I'm like, well, let's give it a number. Let's just try to neutralize the clutter that you have. You have 1,000 things that you have to sort and purge and go through the steps and make decisions on. That's it. Like no big deal. It's just a pile of stuff that is exact number, and we can do that. We can put a puzzle together. That's a 1,000-piece puzzle. No big deal. We're just going to go through the things.
So in theory, it sounds simple of like, oh, just make a decision. It's yes or no, but as you are very well aware, must be so much nuance to it, and there's like emotional ties, and you can't let certain things go. So what are your steps to become less cluttered or to make easier decisions and feel more organized?
Well, the steps to get organized are spell the word space. So they are to sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and energize. And I like knowing that the first two steps to sort and purge are decluttering. So, sorting first is essential. And going back to the puzzle analogy, I've been using this since a client and I discovered this a few weeks ago. But we sort first. We sort the puzzle into shapes, usually an edge and a non edge to start with.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so we're not overwhelmed when we look at a puzzle. We just sort it. And that's what we do in organizing too. Because if we started, like, even if I go into my closet and say, like, I need to get rid of some stuff, I would pick one thing up and I'd be like, well, I don't know. And then I would be like, this is too hard. And I'd put it back. But if I took out all my tank tops, laid them out, put them in by color if I wanted to, and then tried them on and asked myself some questions, I could easily go through it, I guess more easily than if I just looked at a tank top and said, should I keep this or get rid of it? So we sort first and then we purge. And one of the methods that, here's the decision making part. One of the methods I like to do is to pick my favorites out first. And I started doing this with kids, just saying, okay, what toy do you play with the most? What's your most favorite thing here? So that they had a framework. Because as soon as you say, what should I get rid of? Your whole body is like, nothing, don't touch
Yeah.
anything. And so I ask to pick your favorites. And then you can go from there with some other questions.
I really like that because when you frame anything from a space of like lack or like you're getting rid of something, or even it's like when you tell a kid don't do this, then that's they skip the word don't and they're so focused on the other thing. And I've been actually trying to reframe my goal of saving money because I used to say I don't want to spend money. And that created so much resistance in my body of like, don't spend money at Target besides what you definitely need, or don't even go to Target. And I was like, oh, but if I reframed it as saving, then it almost feels more inspiring. And the steps that you shared already feels doable. It feels like, oh, I could do even just the tank tops, not the whole wardrobe.
Yes. And to go along with that, once you pick your favorites, the things you use and wear and whatever all the time, then the next part that's more on the positive side of it is to know where you're going to go. And so you have this clear picture of like, this is what I'm doing in the next year or two. This is what I'm focused on. And then you can run that decision through that filter. Does this fit into that? Does this enhance the life that I want to live? Does this make it easy for me to keep up with the stuff that I'm keeping in my house? Does this fit into the container that I've been given at this point in my life? And then it makes it so much easier to think through those decisions or that filter. And it's what you want. It's what you want to move toward.
I love that just the vision of what you want. And I'm picturing my desk, not just picturing, I'm literally looking at my desk. And I've got a Dunkin' Donuts small coffee, also my own coffee mug, one hand lotion, one lip gloss that I just put on right before I pressed record, two water bottles, a Chomps meat stick. And I mean, I could keep going. But when I think of, all right, my ideal self, which isn't too far away even, would not get rid of everything, but have a space for everything. Yeah.
Yes. And you can easily say, like, what do I want to imagine myself and how do I want to feel at this desk? And really dive deep into that if you wanted to, or you could keep it as simple as 5 minutes, just saying, I want to come to my desk. I always want to have a water, a snack, a lotion, and a lip gloss, or something like that. And then you kind of know what you want.
I like that. Now, when you declutter, or another example that I hear a lot from my clients is that one closet that you want to organize or like redo. Like it's an inspiring thing, but it just feels like such a big project. So with that too, do you always start with sorting from this space analogy?
Yes, I always say to sort, and that could look a few different ways. So if you were thinking about a closet, the first thing I always tell people is make organizing a project that you have a start and an end date. That way it doesn't become this endless weight of stuff you have to do forever. No, you're going to start and end and map it out like what you want to do to be done with that area. So then you can celebrate and you can actually see, like, look, I am organized. There's evidence. I've done it. But then, yes, I say to sort. And if you have the ability, the endurance, the space available, I like to sort the entire area that you want to work on. But many people don't have the opportunity to do that. And so it's easier if you pull out a category, like with the closet. I don't want you to take your entire closet and dump it on your bed. So you would take out one category at a time. Maybe all the shoes come out of the closet, you sort them, you then purge them, and you assign homes, decide where they're going to go back in, and then choose a container. Maybe you don't need a container, but maybe you want to get something that keeps them on where they're supposed to be. And the reason that contain stuff is there is so that it triggers you to go back. Oh, the containers getting exceeded. I need to go back through the steps. So yeah, I would say either pick a category to start with and sort everything from that category, pull it out, or sort the whole thing.
Mm. Now, I feel like a lot of people listening might think, okay, this is doable, but they know themselves and they're like, but I've started and stopped so many times. Like they didn't set that start and end date, and they just stopped in the middle and their closet is half done, or their laundry, like me, is still on the living room floor. So do you find that in your clients too? Like, and is there a reason that we start and stop or don't start at all?
Well, I think we don't start at all because we make it into this huge thing that's going to take forever. And so we spend all this time thinking about how huge it is when we could probably have finished it in the amount of time that we've dreaded doing it. But the other
Mm-hmm.
thing is, and this came up with one of my clients. She had now labeled herself as someone who didn't finish things. She was a great starter, but she never finished. And what she realized as we were coaching is that she just never schedules the finishing. She always schedules the starting, but she just didn't schedule it. And she's like, oh my gosh, all I have to do is write down now on my calendar, finish that space or keep going in that space. The great part of being half done with your closet is that you're half done. Like you got started. It was just that maybe you didn't schedule when you were going to finish it or when you were going to keep going. You kind of lost that momentum, and life happens and things come up, and so you got distracted. And that's it.
Yeah. So everything is just so neutral. I love that. There's no judgment or shame for starting and stopping. But I like that you said that she had labeled herself, as a person who starts and stops and, doesn't follow through essentially. Or I've heard a lot, and I've even said myself, like, I'm just a messy person, or I have messy seasons that I go in and out of. How do you help someone through those sorts of things, like the labels that they have on themselves, or any other like beliefs that are driving the lack of decisions or the resistance that comes up when it comes to organizing?
Yeah, I love, and this is something everyone needs to think about. And I first heard this from Sarah Arnold Hall, is that you can't outperform your identity. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're identifying yourself as a messy person, someone who doesn't finish things, then that's what you're going to be. Like you're not going to outperform that. So to first, we just look at recognizing, oh, what do you think you are?
Yeah.
Is it something you've deemed as part of your personality, or because you have ADHD, this is just who you are and how you are? Or what is it? So recognizing that. And then of course, deciding who we want to be. And there's a couple things I help people do. Either it's when you method act, that's one way people say it, or use an alter ego. So you
Mm-hmm.
pretend or act like you're the person that you want to be. But I also like, as you do that, you decide who you want to be. You're finding evidence. Like that's why I like to start with mindset, but then quickly move into we're creating evidence. And so every time we're creating something, and for sure being able to see that for yourself is powerful. And that's going to shift you into someone who believes that they're organized because I'm organized, but we put stuff on our countertop all the time when we walk into our house. And just because I have a pile of stuff there, I never once think I'm not organized because I know I can put it away in 10 minutes. So maybe if that's not the case for you or someone listening, maybe it's just that they don't have homes for things. So they can still be organized and they can probably find evidence that they are. One of my clients is like, Tracy, I can plan a vacation like you would not believe. And I'm like, huh. I mean, it takes some organization to plan that vacation, doesn't it? And she's like, yeah. I mean, I'm so meticulous. And I'm like, yes, you are organized. So,
Mm.
yeah, it is shifting the identity and how you see yourself and how you want to see yourself and who you're becoming in that process.
So good. And I like that you said the first step, I think was the first or second, is basically identifying the stories you've been telling yourself. And when you said ADHD, I'm like, yes, that's what I hear a lot from my clients. Is like they can't put the dishes away every single night or do the dishes because they have ADHD or their car is messy. And it's the last thing they want to see on their drive home from work. But there's like wrappers that are in the doorway, like the
Right.
door handle, I guess. And it's filled with wrappers and her ADHD makes it so that she can't take it out. And just the exhaustion and all of that. And I think bringing awareness to that's the thing. Do you think the awareness alone is like freeing? Like it's like, oh, well, I can control in a sense the ADHD, or I can plan these trips and I am meticulous, I am organized. Is it just that the awareness?
I think that's a huge part of it. And with ADHD, I never want to minimize what the challenges are because there definitely are challenges. But also, what if every time I get gas at a gas station, I throw the trash out?
Mm,
And that's just such a habit. Like, what if it's just a little habit like that that you haven't implemented? And you
yeah.
could put a sign up until you get good at that. I also, when I pull into the garage, I always pick up everything in my car that I can. And we have a trash can right there. So, setting up a trash can right there where you can take things out and throw them in the trash right when you get out of your car. So, two little tiny habits like that are possible for anyone. And yeah, you may forget and you may, not do it perfectly and all that's fine. But just trying to have that habit or implementing something small like that and then setting up reminders to help yourself be successful, you're just going to build more and more evidence that it's totally possible.
Mm. So it's like becoming aware of I'm calling it an excuse, but it's very, very real, right?
Yes, yes.
But then almost outlining how specifically is this showing up? And if it is like the car, I love that. Like the rule of every time you get gas, you just throw it out. Again, that seems so doable. And trash can right outside of the car. I mean, that's brilliant. It's these little things that like I've never thought of. I don't know if other people have too. But yeah, just identifying how you specifically feel like you're not organized or cluttered. And I like those tiny, tiny systems and the evidence that's so huge because then you can always look back at that, right? Especially if you slip back into I'm a messy person or I'm just very
Yes.
cluttered.
Yeah. And I think having someone to help you see that is really important.
Yeah.
And such self compassion because maybe your car is just messy because you never thought of having that habit in place or nobody taught you that. All of that's fine. I mean, my kids know because when they were in their car seats, every time we got gas, everybody had to find all the trash around them and give it to me to throw in the trash can. So, but maybe nobody ever taught you that or you've never heard that before. And that's
Yeah.
the only reason you have a messy car.
Yeah.
It
And
really
it's
isn't
like,
because something's wrong with you or you need to be fixed or you're not good at something. No, it's just because of a little habit you don't have.
yeah, it's like you don't know what you don't know. And you're working with, like, all of your solutions feel like they're working with your circumstances and with your life and with any of the diagnoses that you have. It's not becoming a completely different person who doesn't have or never struggles. It's
Right.
just discovering and then setting up a system in place. It seems like it's like the tiny steps. I think you talk about this too, but I have a blueprint called the Calm Mind Blueprint. And it's basically journaling through anything that makes you feel overwhelmed to inner peace. But that last prompt is for action, and it's micro steps. It's like those tiny things that you've already hinted at with like the closet and even just the tank tops that make it feel like, oh, I can do this. I don't have to become a different person, a new identity in order to have a clean car.
Exactly. Like, what if I love thinking about this? Picturing, I was thinking of all these examples, but like an onion or, oh, what is it? The artichoke heart, where you peel away the outside, all these lies or things you've thought about yourself or labeled yourself, and inside is this beautiful, tender, like piece that's organized. Like, what if that inside is organized and we just had all these lies and stories that we've made up about ourselves? We could peel all that off. It made me think too of like a butterfly that's inside the chrysalis still, and she's getting loose and she's sticky and it's uncomfortable. But yet once she learns those little habits and learns how to flap her wings or whatever they do, then she has that freedom and that belief now that she is organized. And it's not as big of a deal as maybe we've, weighed ourselves down with.
Yeah. I love that you shared that example because that happened to me probably 2 years ago, where I was complaining to my mom about how messy I am and how my house is like, I don't know, there's always laundry on the floor, all these examples. And her response was, it's so interesting because I'm a twin and I shared a bedroom with my twin. And she said, it's so interesting because your bed was the one that was always made. You were always the quote unquote clean twin. You liked to tidy things up. And her just saying that, it was like this flashback. And I was like, oh, that's right. I do. I used to tuck my shirts in. I used to organize all the things. And it was just that little flip of, well, what if I am organized? And that was so inspiring to realize too, have that evidence of I was, even when I was 7, lost my way a little bit, but I can come back to that version of myself.
And it's so nice that your mom's there to remind you of that. The other thing that brings up when you're talking about that is I do have an episode with my sister on my podcast, and she talks about her bedroom. She would consider that she makes piles a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing she said is that they just decided when they got married that they weren't going to, or that they were always going to make their bed. So they have always made their bed their whole entire marriage. And yet she had this huge pile. And I think I have pictures on my blog post too of that episode. But she has huge pile of clothes on this dollhouse, which was teetering over. And she decided to tackle that using the 15-minute declutter challenge that I have. And she did it. It took longer than 15 minutes, but she's like, I just don't want to have piles in there anymore. I want to come into this place. And I'm like, you decided that you were going to make your bed and you guys have done that. So what if you just decide that you're not going to have a pile there anymore? You just decide, like, what would happen? What would it look like? And for you, I'm like, what if you just decided that you put laundry away right after it came out of the dryer? Like, what would happen?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, not that it matters, like if it's not bothering you or something, but what if we just decide like one little thing, like you're saying, a micro step that we're going to change?
Yeah. I mean, when you said that of what if you just decide to put laundry away right away, I pictured how warm it is. Well, first of all, I wait a couple days between the dryer portion and then the folding and then also the putting away. So I pictured doing it all at once. I'm like, whoa, wait, I would get to feel the warmth of the clothes and I would get to fold them. And it seemed like peaceful almost for the first time.
Yeah. I just learned too that resistance to doing what we want to do is the discomforting part. And I learned that yesterday. So then this morning when I woke up, I had this whole argument with myself about not wanting to get up and work out. And I had said I wasn't going to this morning, but I could because I was awake, and like had this whole argument. And I was like, it's so true. The argument, the not doing what you said you were going to write, what you wrote down that you were going to do. And I even said I wasn't going to do, and I still had the argument. Like, that was the not fun part. Doing
Yeah.
the task is actually fun. The clothes are warm and you get to walk to the bedroom and and have them all cleaned up at one time. Like, that part's great.
Yeah. And it makes that's like the time when you're off your phone, whatever you're decluttering. It's like you can't be texting really at the same time if you wanted to go quicker. Otherwise, that argument in your head that we all have is so time consuming. And then we talk ourselves into it, but then we're like, oh, bummer. I've got 5 minutes left. I can't start now. That happened to me this morning. But I
Yeah.
want to ask you one more question and then also find out about that decluttering challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Something that I hear is that my clients have very supportive spouses, and they are the ones that do a lot of the picking up of the kids' toys after school or before school, or whatever. They're doing a lot, and my clients, the females, are feeling guilty that they aren't cleaning up enough or maintaining their home enough. Have you experienced that? And if so, either yourself or with clients, and if so, how do you overcome that guilt that you're not doing enough?
Well, I think the guilt comes from us thinking that we should be, right? It comes from some should, where I think I would just be celebrating like someone's cleaning it up. Yes, it's amazing. But then to dig down and like, well, what do you think should be the way? And if it's not clear, I think that comes up. So what if that was the role of the other person to do that and that wasn't your role? Completely off the board, and that was defined so then you could enjoy that. And this same thing came up, but it was kind of the opposite. A client of mine thought that everyone else should be doing certain things,
Mm,
and they weren't doing them. So she spent a lot of time upset because they weren't doing the things that she thinks they should be doing. Where I was like, what if you just do it yourself? You're going to be happy. You're going to get it done in 5 minutes. It's going to be done exactly like you want it. And you don't have to spend any time telling them something or wishing they would be better. Like, think of how much time you're going to save if you just took that role on.
yeah.
And she had never really thought about that. And she was like, yeah, I actually could do that. It kind of got her excited. So it's a little bit the opposite,
Yeah.
but same. I think to define what is your role or not your role, what you're going to enjoy or not enjoy, and then own that.
Yeah. I wrote that down. I wrote down, what do you think should be the way? And then that will probably naturally lead to the discussion of, well, maybe we should redefine it anyways, even if that is true.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
they're thinking that they should be the ones to do it, right? Or it's
Yeah.
not right, or they're not doing a good enough job. But if they know what it is, even if
Yeah.
it's the minimum of what they should do or want to do, like what's the minimum they want to do, and if they have time they could go pick up some toys if they wanted to, but the minimum that they are going to do to feel amazing are these
Yeah.
things right here, and just define it.
So good. And I feel like that approach will help you feel like so much more at ease and calm and peaceful. And like you said earlier, it really does take someone else to point these things out, because we're just in that one lane, you normally attached to that identity, like you said, that like these women just feel guilty, and that's just, it is what it is. But yeah, just having someone else point out, well, what is it that you do already? And that different perspective is so enlightening. And
Yeah.
it sounds like your clients are getting that from you, which is amazing. But tell us about the declutter challenge, because I think I want to do it, and I'm sure my listeners do too.
It's a 15-minute declutter challenge. And what's interesting is I've been doing this 17 years and I've just never created that. And this last year I did. I asked the ladies in my Organized Life Academy, I said, hey, test this out, see what you think. And even they have been saying, Tracy, this is so good. Why didn't I do this before? I can get so much more done than I thought I could, and typically spend so much more time dreading it, like I said, than just doing it. And so it teaches you the 5 steps, and it just teaches you how to set your clock and set your timer and do something for 15 minutes. And
Mm,
again, it's like that is going to add up, and that's going to make a bigger difference than you ever imagined.
yeah, for sure. And I like that it has the steps, because I actually missed the A earlier when I was writing it down.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
the A again?
Assign
Assign.
home. Decide where it's going to live.
There we go.
Yeah, and there's a printout in there in that, so you could print the steps. So wherever you're working, you could have those steps with you. Because just think, you are organized if you know the steps. And then you start practicing them every day or every time you have 15 minutes, and you just get better and better.
Yeah.
And that's
And
the
it just
only thing. Yeah,
it becomes like routine and you don't even think about it essentially.
right.
Love
And
it.
that belief has so much evidence because every 15 minutes you do anything, you're building that evidence.
This was amazing and inspiring and all of the things. Before we hop off, where can people find you? I will share that Declutter Challenge link in the show notes, but where else can people find you?
Yes, at Simply Squared Away is the name of my company. simplysquaredaway.com/declutter is the Declutter Challenge, but then also on my podcast, the Organized Coach podcast.
Amazing. And I'll share that episode with the decision framework because, again, I just listened to that one and that's only 4 steps and that was really good. So I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure that you send this episode to maybe your spouse or a friend that just needs that confidence with decluttering and to feel more empowered about the organizing systems that you have in place and that you want to have. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening. And thank you, Tracy, for being here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thanks for having me. This was fun to talk about. I love digging deep into these different topics.
Yeah. Digging deep is like where all the meat is. And like, once you open that up, it's like a snowball of awareness and amazingness and all of the things. So
yes,
it was amazing. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Beyond Awareness, the podcast where we close the gap between knowing and doing. If you're ready to heal what's holding you back from success, start with my free Calm Mind Blueprint at www.samanthapenkoff.com/calm-mind. It's a 5-day strategic journaling practice with prompts and voice guidance from me. And if you want to go deeper, book a 90-minute breakthrough intensive. Links for both are in the show notes, and if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, I would be so grateful if you shared it with them so that they can make decisions from clarity instead of drowning in overwhelm. I will see you next time.